D&Dark is an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure that is intended for older audiences. Content warnings can be found in the episode descriptions. Hello and welcome to D&Dark, a comedy horror adventure podcast loosely inspired by Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, partially inspired by mechanics I make up whenever I feel like it, and starring some of history's most infamous monsters. I'm Danger Dan Jerz, and I am your host and Crypt Keeper.
Hello, I'm Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric of the Death Domain. So in our last session, we met this just delightful creature with a bunch of heads. I think I made the Phantom a little mad because it was singing this really nice song that I didn't like, so I cast the silence spell just so I didn't have to hear it anymore.
I am Grayson, playing Jack Griffon, the Invisible Man. I got a class change, so I'm a mastermind, not a thief anymore. Besides all that, we found the Oxford-ish University of English-ish. And we talked to some people. We ran around the university, and then we found the Hydra, which someone decided to be eaten because they didn't really want to play too much. And we were like, oh, well, that's very nice. Jack was able to get a good hit on it and then started chasing down a random dog. And then I think we ran into Larry at the end of the fight.
Hey, hi, I'm Larry. Also Jordan. I'm Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock. And last time, well, there was a lot of stuff being hinted at there being a face stealer in our midst. And Larry was like, all right, well, I don't want my face stolen. I don't want my friend's faces stolen. Jack is invisible. Phantom has his face partially covered. Imhotep kind of doesn't have a face. So I tried to give Frankenstein a burlap sack, and then I was like, well, maybe if I don't have a person face, it won't steal my face. So Larry left, poofed into a dog, helped fight a Hydra, and when Jack was like, yo, where were you at? Also, what was that dog? Phantom and Mary jumped in to have Larry's back.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm playing the Phantom of the Opera, our bard. It was a wonderful trip back to college. You know, you show up, Imhotep got a dog, Imhotep lost a dog, Larry was a dog. A lot of stuff was happening. I was the head of finding out about our face stealer friend. It used music against us, which turned out to be a horrible mistake for everyone involved, because now I can use music against us. It's going to be a wonderful future, I think, for the whole party.
God.
Hi, I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, and while we went to Oxford University to get schooled in things that we do not know about, unfortunately, I was the poor soul who partook in one of the greatest things about college, which is eating. Even though I was not the one doing the eating, I was the one being eated.
That's what Ben learned in college, eating.
You eat.
Eating.
Gastronomy.
Or at least trying to eat, because, you know, you're in college, you all you have enough money for is ramen noodles.
Right.
But yeah, last session, I was the ramen in this case, and I was eaten by a Hydra, which was not fun. And I got mad because I had lost my Warhammer into the stomach acid, but I got a short sword out of it, so I got something pointy to stab things with, so yay, I guess. I didn't die.
Congratulations, you didn't die.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for.
Every single session.
Yeah, that was also pretty much every college kid at the end of finals week. I didn't die. Yay!
I'm Jenai. I'm playing Carmilla Karnstein, the vampire spawn. Carmilla has been taking the past few days to go on a sabbatical.
Off to a smashing start already.
Oh, no.
You know what was the sad part? I just got it.
If we have too many of these puns, I'm a straight up sneak attack.
Oh, God. And instantly we've reverted back.
Exactly.
So she's been on not really a sabbatical, because she's been looking for her arch nemesis Vordenberg, who keeps rearing his ugly head and looking for her to try and kill her. So she's been trying to see if she can beat him to the punch, so to speak. And now she's come back to this city and is starting to look around and see where he might be, because he's somewhere. She can smell it.
All right, and with that, let's jump back into the fray. So above table, between last session and this one, everybody got a level up, so they're all level 5 now.
Phantom would like to gesture silently to Larry and Mary.
Mhm.
You know what? And Imhotep.
Yeah, bring them in.
To all of us, like, head down towards the carriage while Jack's just back turned, rifling through his own stuff.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we're all together, I would like to admit some things and clear the air with you.
Please.
I have plans for how I'm going to speak with Jack, but I do want to be upfront with all of you. So, when I was absent, I was not... This is going to sound really weird. I wasn't absent. I was actually, I was a dog.
What?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that little hound that brought you the burlap sack, I tried to tell you to give it to Mary, because I thought maybe if I had a dog face, the face consumer wouldn't get me, and I think it worked, but I have no idea. But yes, that is a quirky thing that sometimes I can do. If the conditions are just right, I can dog.
What the flesh necks taste like?
You can dog.
I can dog.
That is how we're going to word this.
Uh-huh.
Question for the DM. Since Mary kind of had an idea of that Larry has something going on with like the cane and the curse and all that, was I able to put 2 and 2 together during the fight, or I had no idea?
I'm not going to say one way or the other retroactively, but you know that this is all connected.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember one thing you mentioned for Mary is that if he knew what a werewolf was, he totally would get what's going on.
Okay.
He's not been around enough to know what is
That's
werewolf.
true. That's very true. That's very true. All right.
But yeah, you've got the dots mostly connected now. You're missing the big piece, but...
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to flash eyes like, does you transforming into a dog have anything to do with your affliction?
And he clutches his hand for a second. It is...
Yes.
It's weirdly connected, yes. I don't know how much more detail I do want to go into, because it's a lot, but I wanted to be upfront and honest with all of you that I can dog. And Phantom, the necks of the beast, they tasted like... They were very, like, rubbery? And, like, a little putrid.
Disgusting. I'm so sorry.
Like boiled chicken.
It was bad. Like boiled chicken and rotting lemons. It was very sour, but I knew friend was buried in thing. So Dog Brain said, dig out friend. I'm glad you're okay, Mary.
Why, thank you. And while I do greatly appreciate you trying to dig me out, there is one thing I'm pretty sure the rest of us need to know. Is this the only thing you can do, or is there something darker down the line that you are regrettably not telling us yet? I understand if it's personal. Trust me. I understand wanting to keep things at arm's length. I should know. But if something's going to happen that's going to hurt myself, Erik, Imhotep, or anyone else in our merry band of misfits, we should probably know a little sooner rather than later what we're getting ourselves into. And I want to make sure that you're okay.
And Jack rejoins the group.
So as Jack re-enters the group, Larry is wide-eyed, sweating, cane clenched, hands sizzling. He's like, when before we were speaking with Marlowe, and he told me about this place that we shouldn't go, and it'd be extremely risky. I'll just say if it will be very, very dangerous. Either the people we're going to encounter on what Marlowe said might fix me, or, well, if we don't get there in time, we could all be in a lot of danger. I can't promise you'll be safe if you follow me.
Imhotep puts a bony hand on Larry's shoulder. I believe that it was our large friend here put it. We are a merry bunch of misfits. If you have need of us, we will accompany you. I'm already dead. What are they going to do to me?
Yeah, you're right. I think you're probably safer than the majority here.
I mean, I was brought back from the dead, I think.
True.
He leans in, though. Tell me honestly, were you tempted to steal my rib bone, though? He's just staring into Larry's eyes, waiting for an answer.
Sorry.
I do understand dogs. Were you tempted to
my
steal any of this? And he kind of motions to himself. I believe it is what the children call a snack.
He kept Daniel.
He kind of reaches back because he's got the extra butt there going on. I am what the children call thick. His eyes are completely serious as he says all of this.
And I'll say, just to keep the momentum going, this conversation is happening in the carriage on the way to Stratford.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
we're in the carriage, we're talking about how thick Imhotep is, and Larry's like,
Imhotep
honestly,
just drops all this super cursed slang, but is like such a boomer about it that he's just using it because those are words that he thinks are appropriate. He doesn't
Oh my God,
understand
that it's
exactly what it
cursed.
is.
The context is not there.
Exactly. The context isn't there. He just knows that these are words. He knows that his backside is physically thicker than it was, and that to a dog, bones are a snack.
Phantom would like to prestidigitate a small, almost like a coin, and then flavor it with molasses and sugar and give it to Larry to like rinse the taste of false Hydra out of his mouth.
oh God, thank you. That is much appreciated. Oh my gosh, there's so much to cover. Imhotep, not at that moment. And Jack, I know you missed that. Oh, I am eating a coin at the moment. I know you missed that first part, but you know,
Werther's original.
it's a Werther's. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Grandma.
Gain a D4 temporary hit points from eating that cookie.
Oh, from my Werther's. 4. Hell yeah. Okay.
Now that's
Jack-
a snack.
That's a snack. All right, I'm all kerfuffled and mixed up. Jack, can you just tell me what you have picked up on so far?
There's been a few things that's going on right now, and personally, I'm not a fan. I find a lot of things out retroactively, and at the current moment, I find that I was the only one left in that room ruffling through my things while all of you decided to have a secret meeting. Now, Larry, I need to know one thing. Do you want me to share your secret now, or do you want me to share it later? It's something that I didn't believe was actually possible. But because of our interactions, at this current moment, I don't trust any of you.
Shocking.
I'm just sitting in a corner. It's like, well, you did try to stab us when we first met you, so.
Thank you.
Jack, you're right. We have left you out of a lot. It's been a lot of contentious back and forth with everyone here. I think if you could share a secret or something of yours, I will share with you and everyone here a secret of mine. I think that's only fair.
What is it that you want to know? I'm a regular human. I'm fairly good at sneaking around. Van Helsing was the only thing that I was aware of that had anything to do with this occult stuff. And then the people that I get thrown into the mausoleum with, which is one of the murderers, and then also this, he even calls himself an abomination, which I don't 100%.
It's okay when he says it.
I mean, well, okay. I don't take offense to that.
So my question to you is that apparently you want to do the whole tit for tat. What do you want to know?
How do you feel about being invisible? Like, I, as someone who also doesn't want to be really seen or kind of perceived, I couldn't imagine the toll on my psyche it would be to not have a face to look into the mirror, to not be seen by other people other than clothing. If you could be honest and real with me and tell me, how does being invisible make you feel? I will tell you what is probably the darkest secret I have.
Just out of curiosity, does Phantom have see invisibility on?
No, I'm sure it would have worn off by now.
It definitely would have worn off by now.
Okay.
I do have a shitty comment loaded up, though, so get ready.
You want to know what it's like to be invisible? Fine. Here's a sneak peek into what I feel every goddamn day. Tell me, what do you know about the human body? No, you know what? It's fine. We'll skip past that because
Good. Larry probably doesn't know much.
I don't think anyone's going to understand this, maybe except for Imhotep. Do you realize how thin of skin your eyelids have? Do you realize how much sleep the human body actually needs?
Oh.
I want to note 2 things. 1, how thin the skin on the eyelids is. Imhotep doesn't have eyelids.
Exactly.
How much sleep you need. He doesn't need to sleep.
Exactly.
He's just like, you point that he's just kind of staring, just like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, where's this going?
A little confused why he was the example for this one.
You want to know why I have to wear these goggles? The whole reason is because it's the only way I can get some modicum of rest. The skin on my eyelids is practically non-existent. My skin, I haven't seen it in years. And apparently the one person that has seen me is the one person I've been struggling to forgive. I don't know how that power came to be, but we're not focused on that. To be invisible, especially when you have the key to show the world that you're actually made of something, to show the world that you can actually make a change, do something with your life, when you've been told that you can't do anything. And then when you actually accomplish it, you can't show anyone, you can't tell anyone. I was kicked out of where I was because no one saw me. All of my stuff was taken, thrown away, trashed. I do over-the-top things just to make sure that people see and notice me. I wear a top hat so people can see where the top of my head is. I wear my goggles so that way I can get a little bit of rest, but also because my eyes retain almost no moisture. So whatever I've got is what I've got. The only skill that I have now is basically to be invisible. I don't understand any of you. You have magic. It's been something that I'm struggling to understand, but it's something that I'm trying to come to terms with. So to be invisible, you don't want this.
Is your invisibility something you want to fix eventually?
That's why I was chasing after Raynor. And this key, I pulled the key out of my pocket. This key right here is supposed to be my ticket to what I can only assume is endless amounts of money. And then that could fund my research. And that way I'll be able to find a cure for this affliction. So when you were talking about curses and when you were talking about danger and stuff like that, and then I happen to see this random dog and it blows my mind. I won't say it because I'm struggling with the fact that I'm, in essence, stuck with all of you.
He's so dramatic.
So as you were basically pouring out your soul, Larry was kind of just focused, nodding. Jack, I really appreciate you being so blunt and thorough with that. We have something in common then. And I don't know about the rest of the group, but at least you and I, we have a goal to free ourselves of our afflictions. Mine is a little bit more uncontrollable, unpredictable, and in, I believe, 2 days' time, I'm basically a ticking bomb, and I will kind of the opposite of me turning into that dog. I will. It's incredibly painful and grotesque and horrible, and I don't want it to happen in front of all of you, but I will lose control of my body and turn into a monster, basically. And we need to get this thing with Carmilla done as quickly as possible, and I need to make my way over to who Marlowe gave us, the people that could possibly, if anything, fix me, because I can't handle not being in control of my life. And much like you, Jack, to be able to return to normalcy is all I want. And I think if we all work together, if we go after Raynor, if we go after the witches and we get what we need to bring ourselves some happiness, then I think we can do that for each other. We can be there for each other to ensure that we all get what we want in the end.
Well, I hope you all enjoy your happiness. Happiness is something that I cannot have. Calm is what I have. And if I can help you, and you, as I stare over the Invisible Man, get your happiness and your calm, I may not know you for very long, but I will be here to help you. You all see me, you all know what I am, or parts of what I am. Only one other person in my entire life did not look upon me with sheer disgust and revolt. And while, Jack, you may not want to be here with us, for some strange reason, I actually want to be here with all of you. So you may not trust me. You may not like me, but I will tell you this. I will help you find your calm. And I look over to Larry, and I will help you find your calm. And in 2 days' time, something needs to happen. I will make sure you do not hurt a single person on my watch, even if I'm the one who has to knock you out for it.
Larry smiles and he kind of looks down at his cane. You promise if I lose control of myself and I put any of you at risk, you'll be the one to do it?
I will be first in line to make sure you stay put and no harm comes to anyone else.
Larry holds up his cane at you and says, this will make sure I'm down for good. Using just your hands or just anything else, I won't stay down. This is how it happened the last time, and so if it needs be, this is how it will happen this time. If all else fails, I don't want to see any of you hurt. So, Mary, if you have to, I definitely won't be carrying this at the time.
I take the cane. I'm like, Larry, if anything happens, I will not be the one putting you down. I will be making sure you are stopped.
By any means.
And I hand the cane back to Larry.
He kind of looks at it and twirls it in its hand. He's okay.
Until the time comes, but like you said, we have 2 days. I suggest we go with all haste.
Phantom leans over to Mary and Larry and is like, based on what I saw, Jack's situation is an improvement.
I kind of perk up. I'm like, what exactly do you mean by what you saw?
What did you see?
Phantom holds up 2 fingers spaced not very far apart.
As Ben, I know exactly what you mean, but as Mary, I'm like, I don't get that joke.
That took me a second. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm like, what do you mean? Just like what? The space of his eyes is a little farther apart than normal? What does he mean?
Larry leans over and taps Mary on the knee. It's fine. I'll explain it later. Let's just get to the town.
I look over to Jack and I'm like, Jack, do you accept my help in finding your calm?
We'll see what happens.
I'll take that answer for now.
And the carriage has now arrived in Stratford.
Yay!
As you pull up to the entrance to the town proper, there's a lot of commotion going on right now. Basically, it's the entryway path kind of forks in 3 directions. There's not much going on down the middle, but off to your right-hand side, you see a circle of guards and Gonzo with Marlowe and Maledict in the middle, and they are engaged in a very heated conversation. Off to your left, you see Carmilla and 2 other vampire spawns interrogating a priest.
Well, which way do we go?
I know, so many spicy directions.
I know.
Well, Phantom will take off right towards Carmilla.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're here for Carmilla.
So as you all make your way over towards Carmilla, you can hear the tail end of the conversation as the priest that you recognize as Friar Morgan
Yay!
is nervously kind of recounting and basically saying, look, I only know a little bit about just the history of the thing. He was the guy that started the whole secret order of the Blood Hunters. I never had a lot of involvement in that. That was a part of the church that we kind of averted our gaze from, kept at arm's length. It kept us all safe, so we let them do whatever they were going on about. But what I do know is that if he is back and if he is determined to get you, it's more likely that he's going to set a trap for you rather than make a direct assault. And the 2 other vampires both look to Carmilla and say, is that information good enough for you? And then one of the 2 starts nodding and says, yeah, that's the kind of darkness we like to hear.
Oh my god! Oh.
Darling, words to spare for old friends?
Oh my goodness, if it isn't you guys.
Oh, jeez.
The 2 identical twin emo goth punk vampires look to you and say,
hell yeah.
do you know these guys? Yeah, they've got like a seriously dark vibe going, and I'm here for it.
We're so edgy, you wouldn't believe it.
Oh my god.
I mean, did you hear how much angst was going on over the last 20 minutes?
Oh my god, you could feel
You forget
it.
this was a comedy podcast.
Jack, talk to them.
I'm going to walk over to Imhotep and ask if he wouldn't mind trying to get some information out of Morgan based on Vordenberg.
Do these two twins, are they physically to look like teenagers?
Sure.
Like 19, 18, 19, like in that range?
Yeah, they look like late high school.
Oh, no.
Imhotep's eyes kind of scan between them as they're talking about like the darkness and all this stuff. And he's just like, I watched a king who was half your age. Children just... He looks at Friar Morgan. Friar, it is good to see you again.
Ah!
Imhotep puts his finger up. One moment. Pierce the veil.
Real quick magical girl transformation.
Yeah, real quick magical girl transformation. Sailor Moon and everything.
Speed through it.
×2 speed.
Real quick. Yeah.
I don't know if having that extra knowledge makes this any more palatable. I guess I prefer looking at you this way, but thank you for your help back in the crypt.
He walks over, kind of hover hands the friar just because he can tell he's uncomfortable and starts kind of like shooing him away from the creepy vampires.
The two twin vampires basically do like a cape flourish and then move off to the side, and they start giggling to themselves and say like, did you see that guy has blaspheme me written on the back of his cloak? He doesn't even notice.
Stops, turns, looks at them, looks at his back, pulls the paper off.
Oh no, it was on the back of the shirt. I'm so sorry. That's in there.
That's right. You did that, didn't you?
Oopsie.
He has, see, here's the thing though, is that Phantom has "Art Thou Nasty" written on his underpants.
Oh, Lord.
Awesome.
Imhotep kind of like hears them say that, looks at the back of the friar's robes and just like sighs, looks at Phantom.
I will not apologize for art.
As the friar is talking to Imhotep, I'm just going to go up behind him and just, as gently as I could, put my hands on top of the friar's shoulders, making sure he can't move. And I was like, oh, don't worry, friar. We have a few questions for you.
Oh, God, not you again.
Oh, I look over to Carmilla. I give her a nod and a smile. It's like, good to see you again. Unfortunately, yeah, me again.
Imhotep was like legitimately trying to comfort this guy and just like, why are we all picking on the poor friar?
For me, this is fun.
Oh, go have fun somewhere else.
For me, this is not fun.
Carmilla sort of puts a hand up and says, there's no need for that. The friar and I were just having a amicable conversation about interesting people of note. But I believe the friar has given us all he can give. Don't you, friar? Or is there something else you're not telling us?
If I'm not telling you something, it's not on purpose. Just everything that I can think of that's relevant. He was the guy that founded the Blood Hunters. He was pretty tall, but I don't know why you were saying he's 10 feet. He was never that big in life, but I don't know, unless something happened. The way that you described him sounds like slightly out of character, but I'm not in a position to doubt you. I'm just telling you what I know.
Then you're free to go. I see no problem with that. Please, be on your way.
Before he goes, can I do an insight check?
Sure, roll insight.
I just want to know if he has a little bit more information.
This poor man.
No.
Well, I mean, if he's got some information, I'd like to find out.
Well, we do also have like 15 other characters that we can.
True.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, I don't want to let the one that has vital information disappear, but that's a 9 on my part, so.
Oh, you can tell he's about to wee himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a 9, he's a Capricorn.
Oh!
Ew, get out of here.
As he leaves this time, I'd like to prestidigitate, put sins here on like his pants.
Oh my god.
So he, as soon as the opening is there, he takes off running, just runs inside the first building that he can find and slams the door behind him. All the way you see blaspheme me and, what was it, insert sins here?
Yeah.
And insert sins here, flapping on the back of his robe and on the little bit of his pants that are poking out from underneath the robe.
Oh, poor
And the
guy.
door slams and he is gone.
Imhotep watches the friar leave with the stuff written on his clothes, pinches the bridge of his nose.
And the two twin vampires look to one another. One of them says, I'd have eaten that guy. And the other one says, I wouldn't have. He's not metal enough.
I see why Carmilla found these guys.
I hate teenagers. I hate teenagers. I hate teenagers. And he's walking back to the group, pinching his nose.
Yeah, we're all like middle-aged people here. We can't relate to these
Very
kids.
much.
Excuse you, I'm only 2 years old.
You're right. You're too young. He's like, wow, these guys are so cool.
Is there anything else you want to know, my queen?
Yes!
Oh,
Yes!
Imhotep physically cringes as he remembers when he was kind of doing that stuff. Not intentionally, but like when I was getting in between Carmilla and just in my head, I was like, Milady. I'm like,
Mafaro.
I'm just going to say that in terms of physical proximity, Imhotep is the closest of the group to Carmilla. One of the two vampires pushes him aside and says, No, I got this, milady.
Oh, yeah.
I found the only 2 simps in the entire town.
You did.
Good stuff.
Do we see Orlok anywhere?
As you're looking around, you can't really find any trace of him. If you want to look deeper, you can roll perception, but
Yeah, I'll
at least in the immediate vicinity, you can't see him.
No. Larry will actively be not looking for Orlok.
And you find not Orlok.
Oh, sweet.
Congratulations, Larry.
My day is better.
I got a 15 on that.
With a 15, you know that he wouldn't have gotten very far. He's probably still somewhere in town, but he's not anywhere out in the open.
Probably in the nest.
Probably. Should we go see what the commotion is about with Marlo Bronte on the other side of the road?
How long has Carmilla been interrogating people with these 2 vampires?
Not very long. You've been in town for at most a day, so it would have been maybe a couple hours.
Okay, so they can definitely come with us. And I look over at Larry and give a huge feral smile because that's the only ones that she knows. And walks over to him and pats his hand. My dearest Larry Talbot, how are you, my dear friend?
Oh, geez, Carmilla, I've been better at some point, but it's so good to see you. I'm glad you're well. And then I would like to tap the top of my head to essentially knock on the door of Capricin's room.
There's a slight ruffling in Larry's hair, and 2 little beady bat eyes poke out with an annoyed expression, and then see Carmilla and light up. This bat slowly and a little clumsily shoots up out of your hair. He's flying a little bit more sluggishly. He looks like he's kind of let himself go a little bit between now and when you first saw him. He's been doing nothing but lazing around inside that nest of hair. He excitedly lets out a little squeak, 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 squeaker, squeak. So a thing that you missed while you were gone is it was decided that canonically Capricin is voiced by Patrick Warburton.
Oh my god, I love this. Carmilla is surprised, but also elated because, little bat friend.
Well, it's so good to see you, Carmilla, but we got a pretty desperate message from you, and we rushed over to help. What can we do?
Her countenance turns serious. Yes, I am so glad you're here. Vordenberg has, well, for lack of a better word, popped up again somewhere in this town. I can smell it. I can feel it. She points to her associates and says, these generous youths have been helping me to, well, interrogate the rest of the town. Perhaps you would want to be helpful and find out a couple of things for me as well?
Sure.
We have to go with them.
The 2 twin vampires both tousle their hair to the side and they say, we don't do groups.
Imhotep looks at them and thaumaturgies his eyes red, which, as a note, normally is he changing the light? He's still piercing the veil, so his eyes just turn red as he just stares at them.
Oh, God.
His irises are now red.
And then they both look to each other and do the little chin-up thing and say, respect. And then they both turn to Carmilla and say, well, my queen, it's either them or us.
Oh, man. Carmilla looks at them flatly.
I'm going to suggest something to Carmilla.
By all means.
For your 2 servants here, do you want them to go and check out the nest?
Would you be amicable to that, my friends?
Imhotep leans over to Carmilla. Are they even legally allowed in there at their age?
They're older than they look. And act.
Good enough.
I'll have you know we're old souls. We're very mature for our age, and more so than all of you.
Hey, Carmilla, have you checked out that other group gathering with Marlowe and all of them? Do you know what's going on over there?
Not yet.
I would say that's probably a good place to go if these two chaps want to go and be old souls in the bar.
Yeah, have them come back to you with any information on Vordenberg when they're done.
Yeah, hot young souls only out here.
Yeah.
Hot young souls in your local area.
Oh, God.
All right, well, fine. We'll go to the nest and drink age-appropriate beverages and whatnot. See you later, losers. They both walk off towards the nest, and they are trying way too hard to look unimpressed and unaffected, and so they move very awkwardly.
Meanwhile, they're actually so excited to have a mission, right?
Yeah. Oh, Mary, I hope you don't enter your teenage years and act like that.
Imhotep looks at you and goes, do you have a functioning endocrine system?
I believe so.
So you do have hormones.
I think so.
Oh, I don't like where this is going. Moving on.
Probably an adult's endocrine system. Come on.
As you make your way towards where the other gathering is, you see a whole bunch of guards surrounding Marlowe and Maledict.
Oh, the lovely couple.
And Gonzo is at the head, interrogating them. All right, look, I know that he is a douchebag, but he's my douchebag, so I do take some responsibility for what he does. And Marlowe says, oh, and here I thought you didn't care. Shut it, not now. We'll deal with this later. I don't want to hear anything from you. Now, I'm sure you don't want to hear anything from him either. Yes, I would prefer not to. Now, look, I am willing. We have the means. We have the funds. I would be more than prepared to pay for damages and recompense. He does like to get out of the house every once in a while, and as long as he's in the nest, I know where he is. So, can we do something about that? And all of you, while you're here, go ahead and roll either Perception or Arcana.
7 on my Arcana check.
13.
5.
Oh, that's a 17 plus 3. I have a 20.
Damn.
Oh.
10.
I got a 21 for Arcana.
What?
All right, so, Invisible Man, with your 21, you notice that this group is all encased in a circle, and there's a little bit of mystical energy pulsing between the edges. You can tell that this is an anti-magic field.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Wait a minute. I need to check on
Can I
it.
just touch it to see if it reacts somehow?
It doesn't to you.
Okay. I'm going to walk closer to Gonzo and ask if there's anything that we can help with.
Gonzo sticks out a finger at you as you start to say that. Not now. I'm busy. And returns to her conversation with Marlowe and Maledict. Maledict kind of shoots you a glance and glares. And Marlowe lights up and says, well, well, well. Look who decided to show back up around my town. And all of the guards ready their swords at him at the same time. And he puts his hands up to bring the blade down. Actually, I know why you're here, and this is a thing that you, Gonzo, might be interested in. And both Gonzo and Maledict shoot a glance at him and say simultaneously, be quiet. And he lowers his hands and says, all right, just thought you'd be interested in legendary mythological vampire Carmilla rearing her head around here again. And, whatever difficulties you all are dealing with, you said you were having a revenant problem? I mean, ordinarily, that's nothing. But if all of you are showing your heads around here, it must really be truly a special kind of revenant.
Phantom is starting the cast of Tiny Hut.
Good. I'm glad to see that that's making its debut immediately.
Describe Tiny Hut.
Will do. Tiny Hut is a level 3 spell. It does take a minute to cast, which is why we're hopping in a little early. But a 10-foot radius immobile dome of force springs into existence around and above me and remains stationary for the duration. 9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside the dome with me. Creatures and objects within the dome when I cast it can move through it freely. All other creatures and objects cannot pass through it.
Oh, does this mean I can't go inside the dome?
You meet the minimum requirements to count as a medium-sized creature, so you can still fit in the dome.
Yay.
It's just going to be a bit of a squeeze.
Oh, boy. All right.
Just sit down.
We'll all get real friendly.
The dome is opaque from the outside, and it says that I get to choose some aspects of it. So once the cast is finished, I will flavor it. But it is transparent from the inside. We can see out.
As you start to cast that, and as the two of them both yell to shush up Marlowe, Gonzo says to Maledict, I trust that you are reasonable enough that we can continue this conversation at a less distracting time. Only if I can trust you to resume this conversation in less, compromising circumstances. I can't agree to those terms.
Ooh.
Then I can't agree to your terms. Well, I believe we're at a stalemate then. And since you're the one in the more compromising position, and she pulls out a blade that she holds up to him, then you can wait your turn.
Ooh.
And she turns to all of you and says, now what is this that Marlowe's speaking about, a revenant problem?
Is this where the spell finishes?
Yes, the spell finishes, and it extends out in a 10-foot dome, which does overlap with the anti-magic field. So basically, you have not a complete 360, the little bit where the dome and the anti-magic field overlap. There's basically a big old hole in your tiny hut right there.
Damn it.
It's an igloo.
The way it shows up is a giant velvet curtain appears in the sky and like flies down and lands in like a dome shape around us. And then a little sign flops out on the front that says cast only.
Oh, that's so cute.
Inspiration if you didn't already.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Oh, that's delightful.
Just out of curiosity, with the hole that's in there, could I still pass through?
Yes, there's no face of the dome there. It is just the edge of the anti-magic field.
Cool. Good to know. Because I feel like I was not included in that.
You're just out of range.
Yeah.
Oh man, who knows how intentional that may or may not have been.
I did see someone move.
So she turns and says that to you, and then the curtain drops, and then she peeks her head around the corner where the hole is, looks in at you, and says, I once again repeat, what was that Marlowe was speaking about in regards to your revenant problem?
All right. Should this be the time where Carmilla and Gonzo finally meet?
She looks at the group, and then she looks at you, Carmilla, and slight look of surprise passes over her, and she says, oh, and you must be the Countess Karnstein I've heard so much about. I hear your trouble, and I don't like trouble in my town.
I would prefer not to be the trouble in your town.
Perhaps we can come to some kind of arrangement. I hear the vampires have a healthy fear of you, and that's always good for my business.
Arm her.
Arm her? What?
Huh?
What?
What?
Give her arms?
What? I mean, I will wrap my arms around her any day of the week.
I'm flattered, but please, now's not the time.
That was just inner thoughts.
Not anymore, they weren't.
Uh-oh.
So there will be a time.
Woo!
Exactly. Carmilla is instantly enamored with this individual. She just exudes power and responsibility and just the type of clarity that a ruler should have. And Carmilla is all about that.
Who knew responsibility was a turn on?
Hey, you know?
With great responsibility comes great power.
Damn.
Exactly. I guess I should probably tell her about Vordenberg.
Are there chairs in this?
Sorry, you're going to have a standing ovation.
Phantom, are there any, folding chairs or, a green room table or anything like that in your tiny hut?
Crammed in there.
Now, it does not actually say if I get to, furnish it in the spell description itself.
I will leave that up to how you flavor it.
Fantastic.
Ooh, the power.
There is a big, ornate recliner chair for the monster. There's a cool, bone throne for Imhotep.
Yes.
A neat satin-covered vampiric throne for Carmilla. For Larry, there's a very comfortable but very modest chair.
Oh, perfect.
I'm waiting for it.
I'm on another throne for me, but it's taller. It's just the highest up one. And there is a not set up folding chair leaned up against the wall.
Yep.
Oh my god.
And about 2 feet of standing room.
Yeah.
So can I go ahead and do a dexterity check or something to see if I could steal one of the thrones?
What?
Roll
Where will you put it?
strength?
Just like scoot your butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I was thinking it was like a game of musical chairs where like one of person was sitting down and he just like scoots under real quick.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's what you meant by steal. I thought you meant like actually like thief one of those chairs out of there. That's why I was thinking like, I guess strength.
Oh no,
but
because all I see is the folding chair, and I'm just kind of like, "Yep, I kind of guessed." So I kind of want to see if I can scoop my butt into Phantom's chair, and I mean, whatever happens, happens.
So Phantom, did all of these thrones materialize underneath the people inside the circle, or are they just kind of spread throughout?
Mine, at least, was under me, but I'll say that everyone else is kind of like next to theirs.
All right, I'm going to say roll dexterity if you get an 18 or higher.
Okay. Nah.
Nah.
So you bolt your way in there. Everybody's already sitting down.
All right.
Oh, Jack, do you need a chair? You could take mine. I still need to stretch from sitting in the carriage.
No, it's fine. I don't want it.
Okay, then.
See, here's where the folding chair is actually like a director's chair and it has his name written on the back.
Oh, and he just never sees it because she doesn't take it out. Ugh.
Yeah. See, Jack, you could have had it all.
It was a folding chair.
No, I gave you a really cool one. It's just invisible.
Oh, that's honestly what I thought you were going to say.
So how's Gonzo doing?
Well, clearly this isn't a priority, so I'm going back to my priorities. And turns back to Maledict, starts to speak, and then gets interrupted by Marlowe again. No, trust me. You're really going to want to hear from them and what they have to say. It spells all kinds of trouble for your quaint little town.
Who's this individual on the side over here?
Oh, that's just a random character on the map to make the town look more populated. He's just a dude.
What's his name?
His name is Frederick. Occupation?
Loafer.
He makes loafers.
How old is he?
He's 23.
What's his deal?
He's just passing through and kind of curious.
What's his voice, Dan?
Excuse me, I'm just kind of passing through here, kind of curious about what's going on. My name's Frederick. I'm a loafer.
All right, yeah. Can you kindly fuck off?
Oh, okay. I'll just be back on my way then. Go back to loafing.
That's great. Get out of here.
And he walks away.
Okay, so I would assume that Carmilla has all the information that we need for the Revenant.
Right. The Bone Daddy, right?
Imhotep kind of puts his hands up. By now, he's kind of dropped his Pierce the Veil because he doesn't need it anymore, so he's back to being Bones. And he kind of is like, I believe there has been a bit of a misunderstanding. We do have information regarding a revenant known as Count Vordenberg, and as soon as he steps out of the curtain...
Yep, the second that you cross the boundary of that anti-magic field, any part of you that crosses over that threshold just immediately collapses into lifeless bones on the ground in front of you.
No!
We have important information regarding Baron von Vorden...
I'm going to run over and start pulling him back over to the other side.
Just scraping and gathering bones up. Because I collapsed completely.
As you pull the bones out of the aura, just one at a time, they start to slowly flicker back on. And life is returning to him little bit at a time as he's being pulled out of the anti-magic field.
I'm looking like the Iron Giant putting himself back together.
Yeah.
Good reference.
So, do I see the lights popping back on?
As you eventually get the skull back over, his eyes flicker on. He looks at Jack. We do not speak of this again.
Got you. Just a heads up. There's an anti-magic circle.
Okay. Wait.
Inspiration.
Oh.
I'm imagining Jack holding Imhotep's head as he says, heads up. Imhotep goes, really? Heads up. Put me down. I'm going to roll away from you now. Eyes turn red as the hand kind of rolls over, gives him a middle finger, and then continues to crawl its way back to where the body is reassembling.
And then the guards that are closest to the hole in the tiny hut peek their heads in, and one of them turns back to Gonzo and says, "Is there anything you want us to do with these interlopers?" No. Hear them out. What is the information you have about this Vordenberg?
Phantom would like to say that he's trying to destroy all vampires in this town.
Oh, no.
Roll deception?
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my inspiration.
Yay.
Yay.
I was also going to say, is there any way that I can help with that?
Unnecessary. It's a 28.
Oh,
Oh, my God. I think that's the highest
All right.
score yet.
yeah, that is.
Marlowe and Maledict, their eyes both go wide. Maledict looks over to Marlowe and says, "Are they telling the truth about this?" "I don't know. I thought they were lying about the whole thing. I was certainly bluffing, but that sounds very serious if it's true." And Gonzo smiles and thinks to herself for a second about what a town rid of vampires would be like, goes back and forth weighing the pros and cons. "Well, that would be a bit too much of a disturbance to our balance of power here. We've got a very good thing going on for us, don't we?" And all of the guards collectively point their swords back in at Marlowe and Maledict. And Marlowe says, "Oh, no complaints from me." "So, you say that this is a revenant. I've seen my fair share of revenants. There's a few in this town. They tend to not be much of a bother. They're not very intelligent. They tend to keep to themselves, only going after any one particular target they may have. We've had their uses for them. They found their niche. So what makes yours so dangerous?"
It's a spooky clergy revenant. It's real, ooh boy. It's a big one.
It's
Very
a real ooh boy.
Oh man. The one target, all vampires. It's a bummer. Real obsessed.
And he's real big,
Real big.
Yeah.
like bigger than our friend here.
Up by a little bit.
"All right, everyone drop your weapons. It looks like I'll need to take the lead on this." And all of the soldiers drop their weapons, and they kind of step outside of the anti-magic field. And she points a finger at Marlowe and Maledict and casts Hold Person on both of them as she steps outside of the anti-magic field.
Carmilla instantly gets up and motions for her to sit in her chair.
She'd have to go through the hole.
Yeah.
The hole I would like to actually be like, looks like parted curtains and has like a spotlight leading in.
Fantastic.
She's allowed into our fort.
As the guards step aside, Marlowe and Maledict try to book it, and the second that they're past the anti-magic field, they freeze in place as she casts Hold Person on both of them. And she says, "You two aren't going anywhere. All right, all of you. So, here's what you need to know about revenants. They, in their primary form, are a spirit that seeks for a host body. They can possess the dead. Now, I'm sure you've noticed our town has quite a few undead here, but that's not a thing a typical revenant can do. From the sound of it, we're not dealing with a typical revenant. So, I propose we round up all of the undead in our town, systematically inquisit each and every one of them until we find our mark, and then we can make sure that order remains in my town. All opposed?"
I'm for it.
Nay?
Is there a less fascistic way to do that?
Police state, police state, police state.
Oh my God.
As you chant police state, another 30 guards surround the tiny hut.
Oh God.
She asks the question. Imhotep raises his hand. He kind of taps Jack to lift his arm up because he's still putting himself together.
I'll raise a foot.
Yeah, good enough.
Gives you a look. Did you not attend university? Do you raise a foot to ask a question?
You didn't tell me to raise a hand.
His foot flicks, like the ankle flicks, so it's slightly more like a hand being raised. Do I count as all undead being rounded up?
She eyes each of you, goes person to person to person. Her eyes linger on Carmilla for a tiny little bit longer, and then person to person, and says, "Present company excluded, of course."
She's so cool.
And then Marlowe says, "Does that mean me as well?" No. "Well, I could have told you that, Marlowe." "Oh, shut up, Maledict."
I love them.
So, you should have in your possession, Carmilla, some documents that basically you can use to perform a rite of exorcism. If you know exactly which target to use it on, you can cast exorcism, which will take 1 round of combat to do and requires concentration, so you'll need to maintain it for an entire round.
Okay.
Anybody else can jump in and assist with it. The more people that are helping out, and the more damage whichever body Vordenberg is camping out in sustains, the higher the threshold he will have to pass to save for it.
So basically reading from the scraps that I've collected.
Basically, yeah, you've got leather-bound as you kind of reach into your bag with tongs so you don't make direct physical contact with it, a few pages ripped out of a Bible that have the rites of exorcism on it.
Great.
So, the soldiers all round you up and bring you to the center of town, and they have a lineup of most of the major players. So, from left to right, there's Maledict and Marlowe. There's the two emo twin vampires. There's kind of hiding behind them and desperately avoiding eye contact with Carmilla is good old Count Orlok.
We're going to trade some words.
Just past him, there's the bartender of the nest.
Oh.
There's the Revenant, who is the bouncer bodyguard, and he is holding on to the flame skull that was the disco ball in the nest. And kind of surrounding you on all sides are these guards. Off to the side is Gonzo kind of overseeing the whole thing.
Can I go ahead and sneak away?
Roll stealth.
15.
I'll say that passes because I know what you want to do and it's funny. So a 15 passes.
Okay. I'm sneaking down to the nest and I want to look for Marlowe, Maledict, Carmilla, or any other names that I recognize.
So the names that you recognize that are on this list, you recognize Marlowe's name, you recognize Carmilla's name, you recognize Count Orlok's name, and you recognize the name Rainer Leroux.
Okay, so I want to change Marlowe to Marlin, Carmilla to Carmelon,
Carmelon.
and then you said who else?
Orlok and Rainer.
Warlock.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I mean, I wasn't going to help him out, but
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. I guess not.
Never mind.
I'll change that one to Mordock. And
I'm
then
gonna scream if you do anything to Rainer's name.
we'll see. That's the thing. I'm thinking about it just to see if like we can get a beat on him.
Oh my gosh, the risks.
I'm just going to add a Y onto Rainer's name. So just Rainery.
Okay.
Cool.
And then while you're doing that, everyone else roll perception.
Oh my god. A 4. I see nothing.
12.
I got 10.
19 total.
You sense a scroll of power somewhere in town.
I have a 20.
With a 20, you can rule out the people that were in the nest. The bartender, the Revenant, and the Flame Skull are not Vordenberg.
Good.
I look at the skull and I go, are you a demi-lich? Because demi-liches are what happens when a lich lives too long and their body disintegrates and it's just a skull.
And he says, I am a Flame Skull, but I'm flattered. And then he looks to the Revenant that's holding him and said, did you hear that? He thought I was a demi-lich. The Revenant says, demi-lich. You? No.
Oh.
And then the Flame Skull just kind of looks a little bit disappointed.
Oh. Kind of just reaches out and gently pats his head. There. It is okay. As soon as he's done with that very important discussion, he goes to the group and says, I leave this matter to you. There is something here that I need to think about. I will return shortly, I hope.
At this point, is Jack walking back?
I would say at this point, yeah, Jack, you've rejoined the group.
Do I see Imhotep going off?
He's not necessarily going very far. He's kind of like just going away from where the commotion is so he can focus. Kind of take it to the back of the group and like maybe a few steps back. He's not that far.
Invisible Man, roll perception.
Jesus, nobody likes me today. Not even my dice.
Oh.
I like you,
Ouch.
Grayson.
That's a damn lie.
Grayson's cool. Jack's a jerk.
Yeah, he really is. That's a 4.
With a 4, you take a look at Imhotep walking away and you kind of shrug it off.
I actually wanted to go talk to him.
Go talk to him. You don't notice anything out of the ordinary as you're going to talk to him.
I didn't know if everyone else wanted to do something before.
You know how we discussed that my true strike tells me like a weakness about something? I was wondering if I could use that to like divine a weakness for a revenant or something.
I like that. Read the description of True Strike.
You extend your hand and point at a target in range. Your magic grants you a brief insight into the target's defenses. And me and you have talked that will give me like an insight on weaknesses and strengths and all that. On my next turn, I gain advantage on my first attack roll against the target, provided that the spell hasn't ended. And it's a cantrip, a divination cantrip.
What I will say, you can use it in this context to divine whether someone is possessed or not.
Okay. I think I might have a means of sort of divining who could be a revenant. Do we know anything about... Is there anyone we can knock off the list already?
And Carmilla, she's been staring at Orlok this whole time as if the fires of hell are coming out of her eyeballs and says, the only one here that is of any note, well, is that beautiful lady over there, but not a single one of these fools is the one we're looking for.
Again, much appreciated, but now's not the time.
Get the hint.
And Larry's just like, ooh, okay.
There will be a time.
And he's like, I liked the people from the bar. They were all really cool. You know who gives me the heebie-jeebies and I have bad vibes about all the time? Orlok. I'm gonna divine on Orlok and point at him and do true strike.
And Orlok sees you point at him and says,
Hey, wait a second, what did I do?
Phew! I don't like spiders!
That's hardly my fault. I'm not in control of that.
So, I guess just roll a straight d20.
I mean, my spell modifier is my charisma, and that's a +6.
Use it.
Add the +6.
Oh, okay. 22.
Nice.
He is a deeply disturbing and very creepy, unsettling vampire and nothing else.
Orlok's clean? Well, not clean, but he's not a revenant. Moving on.
I take offense to that.
I don't care. You freak me out.
All right, I guess that's fair.
I'd like to help you out, Count Orlok. Beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes straight to the bone.
He looks at you and then does like a little awkward fake wave and says,
Oh, hi, Carmilla. It's been so long, but I really need to get going now, so if I can be dismissed.
Good, you bring so much joy when you leave the room.
Well, I kind of, if I can just leave this little circle.
That was an insult.
All right, look, there's no need to be rude about this. I know we have a little bit of a history here, but if we can just let bygones be bygones.
All right then, bye. Gone.
All right, Gonzo, can the servants clear away for me?
Yes, I suppose anyone who's already been cleared is free to go. And so some of the guards part aside, and Orlok sprints full speed out of there, and the people from the nest meander their way back to the club.
Yay.
Phantom leans over to Carmilla. He turned into a horrible spider monster one time. It was really fucked up.
I look over at Carmilla's like, he also bit me to do that. That was weird.
He bit you?
Yeah, he drank some of my blood twice.
A shocking development coming from a bloodsucker.
Imhotep kind of walks back up from the group and is kind of muttering to himself. He's casting a spell, so he's holding his thing of water. And he kind of walks close to the center of the group and casts Detect Magic.
All right. Describe Detect Magic and what you're doing.
So for the duration, you sense a presence of magic within 30 feet of you. If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic. And you learn its school of magic, if any. I know that I'm going to look around and I'm going to see a bunch of glowing from the undead. They're probably magic of some sort. I'm specifically looking. I'm not saying anything to anybody. I'm literally just muttering and whispering to myself as I kind of scan the crowd. And I'm looking not for people, but for an object.
Roll Arcana.
That'll be a 19.
Can I do whatever check it is to see if anyone reacts to this?
Sure. Roll Perception. And then with your 19 Arcana, you don't sense it from any of the people present here. You can still sense that the scroll is in town somewhere, but it's not one of the 5 people before you.
I got a 13.
With a 13, Invisible Man, you don't really notice any particularly telling reaction from any of the group. You do find a set of footprints that don't seem to have any clear origin and doesn't seem to be from anybody here.
I want to follow them.
With a 13, they run out pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
And then Imhotep, because you did roll a 19, you can sense a faintly mismatched aura creeping up around Maledict.
Oh.
And as you're kind of noticing this, he seems to momentarily tense up and double over in pain a little bit.
Imhotep kind of lets go of his spell, stops chanting, points back at the Phantom and says, in the language of this man over here, points at Maledict, J'accuse!
J'accuse.
He tenses up, jolts over in pain, falls to his hands and knees. Marlowe reaches down to kind of help him up, and he slashes back at him, and his eyes look a little bit discolored. Everybody roll perception.
I got a nat 20.
4.
11 plus 4, 15.
A 5.
15.
So with a nat 20, you do see this aura around Maledict, and you do see everybody kind of reacting to it. You can see that Marlowe, in particular, is very frantic about it and is doing some magic of his own to try to, like, identify what's going on and get to the bottom of this. And as he stabilizes, everybody is kind of seeing this interaction. Gonzo calls for a couple of guards that surround the both of them. What was the next highest one? Was it 15?
I got a 15.
I got 11 plus 4, so 15.
So for the two of you, I'll start with the Frankenstein monster. As this is going on, there's some clouds that are kind of drifting in overhead that look a little bit more agitated. Wolfman, you can smell in the air the small lilting odor of wolfsbane.
Do I know what that means other than, like, its connotation for me?
You do not know what that means.
Ah, crap. I would just like to say, uh-oh, something bad's coming.
What does my 4 get me?
You're 4? Hey, you know the word Jacques.
I want to walk over to Marlowe and ask him, do you mind if we take a look at Maledict?
I suppose. I do want to let you know, I have no idea what's going on here. I can assure you he is not possessed. Gonzo basically is rallying the troops and says, I've seen all I need to. And the troops basically kind of surround and cart the two of them off and wall off the area as everybody else kind of scatters a little bit. And she says, the rest of you are free to go.
No!
Where do the twins go?
All right, cool. We're going to go back to the bar and drink some age-appropriate beverages.
Oh my god. So I don't... Do I not have a window to try and true strike Maledict?
Go ahead and roll for it.
19?
You can tell that Maledict is not possessed. He has just been inflicted with a curse.
No!
That's what I was wondering.
As the guards are carting away Marlowe and Maledict, Gonzo basically orders everybody else present. We've seen all we need to. You all are free to go. I'm very sorry about all of the disturbances here today. You may go about and resume your daily business.
No.
I'll take care of what I need to.
Something doesn't add up here.
Larry, check the fascist.
Oh, it's true strike. Gonzo.
Okay, so you true strike Gonzo. Roll for it.
21.
Ooh.
With a 21, you cast your identifying magic, and Gonzo looks directly in your eyes. Her eyes flare up with
Lordy.
righteous fury. Make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, shoot.
As she says, I wasn't apologizing to you.
So earlier today, I was supposed to do a card draw, and I didn't do a card draw.
Oh, crap, we forgot about that. We can go ahead and do that now if you want.
The tough pickle I'm in now is that when I got a level up, I got a feat called, like, stacked cards or stacked deck. And basically, I grabbed 2 face cards this time, and then I can pick which one I want. I had them out this whole time, and I was just kind of waiting. One of them gives me advantage on saving throws, but if it's too late, if that's too cheating...
Because I kind of shorted you by forgetting that you do that, you can have it.
All right. So that will give me advantage on my saving throw. 23.
23 saves.
So I look him in the eye. I feel that righteous fury. Can I call out to the group?
Yeah, you can.
Guys, I think we found our man, woman, revenant.
I do apologize for this. I didn't mean for you to get mixed up in this along with the others. But I swore an oath on the grave of Maria Van Helsing.
Ah, crap.
Phantom starts chanting for a tiny hut right now immediately.
Tiny hut, tiny hut,
And
tiny
I
hut.
learned my lesson from last time, so I did not come alone.
Oh, no.
Off to the east side, you see, kind of clamoring in with the storm clouds, the bride of Frankenstein.
What?
An invisible constable.
Oh, shoot.
I was wondering about that.
A costumed theatrician. A mummy bearing the scroll of Set. And a bad dog.
Oh, shit.
Ah, shit.
We are the outcasts, the misfits you might say.
We deal with the nightmares that you run away from every single day. We know the world is a gruesome little place, but us outsiders, we've developed quite a taste for the grisly and morbid, the ghastly and the horrid. We know it's awful dreadful, but we like it. Just another haunted night, shrouded with unearthly fright. So when you're oh so terrified, you know who to call. The world is falling apart, we'll never take it to heart. Some monsters and creatures and spirits and specters and all, let's all have a ball.
I'm just sitting in a corner. It's like, well, you did try to stab us when we first met you, so
Thank you.
I want it noted that while Jack is having this moment, Imhotep is kind of sulking because he's not considered a snack.
Aw. It's okay, Imhotep. We think you're a
He's
snack.
like listening, but he's kind of in the back going like, I thought that would taste good.
It's okay. Next time I'm a dog, you'll be a snack.
Yay? Question mark.